The Joe Glover Trust was set up in memory of a young boy called Joe Glover who died in 2006 of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. 1 in 5 children will be affected by childhood cancer, which means in the community you're likely to know somebody who has been experiencing this.
When Georgia was diagnosed, I had recently, her baby sister was 7 months old, and I had recently gone back to work as a teacher. And I had just took the morning off to take Georgia to the hospital to check on this ear infection when I brought her home with leukemia.
We first found out about Joseph's diagnosis. He had a temperature one morning, wasn't very well, and Claire thought it would be good to check up with the doctor. I was on my way up to my first day of a brand new job up in London, and by the time I'd got to London, Joseph was already in hospital. It was extraordinarily fast, from 9 o'clock in the morning, waving goodbye, to probably having a diagnosis about lunchtime that day.
It was the day of GCSE results. Adam went to Queen Alexandra Hospital for his chest x-ray, were in and out within less than 20 minutes, I think, and were driving home and received a phone call from the hospital asking us to take him back, to be told that he had cancer.
Clearly the diagnosis of childhood cancer has a huge impact on the family emotionally, but in addition to this, you have the financial implications and the having to rejuggle your lives really based on this diagnosis, and everything that you did know then changes.
The impact of that for me was that no longer could I be a teacher while Georgia was poorly, because she was my priority. So it made a big impact on our whole family. We lost my job.
I had 2 part-time jobs, one of which is in a GP surgery. They've been fantastic and very understanding, and they just said, don't even think about work for a while. The other job I had were not so understanding, and basically I had to give up that job straight away. So that was obviously quite a big loss of income.
As if the disease isn't bad enough, it's the second and third order effects that you don't necessarily think about immediately. The effect on finances, on travel, on childcare, on the isolation that involves being in a hospital 24 hours with your baby girl.
I've actually been off work now since the diagnosis, and that has obviously had a massive financial impact. We've been very lucky because we've just chewed through our savings, but other families aren't so lucky and they may not have savings.
But it's an added worry at that time that you really can do without, the sudden panic of how are you going to manage financially, because immediately your income's cut. Southampton's quite a long way from here. It's almost an hour's journey either way. So you've got the petrol, diesel, travel costs to get there and back. And there's car parking charges, food that while you're there, because you end up spending more money on food because you end up buying convenience foods or eating in the restaurant, or, the options are a lot less because the facilities aren't so good.
By default, we were never all together. And that was hard.
Yeah.
And that's when you need to rely on other people, and that's when the Joe Glover Trust came into play for us hugely and helped us out in a big way that we'll never forget.
The Trust helps families within the Wessex region who are being treated at Southampton General Hospital. They support the families by providing grants for equipment that they might need, specialist equipment they might need for shopping, for anything really.
Well, they helped us out in many ways, from small things such as even buying coffee whilst we're in the hospital, to helping out with any kind of financial assistance that they were able to.
The Joe Glover Trust provided the Xboxes on the ward, so they just...
the biggest saviour
ever. It was
ever.
just like, oh, thank goodness. It just made... Yeah, and it just made life so much easier. Like, if I got bored at all, just go on the Xbox for an hour or so if there's something.
An hour or so? 24 hours.
We were very embarrassed to take any support. We felt that it would be needed by other people, and so we didn't want to take advantage of other people's generosity, but it was just always there for us. And that was so reassuring that we were fortunate that we had a great network around us, but there was always
So it's a safety net.
Other people there to help out.
Days out, fantastic days out at theme parks, and just being together as a family again, and allowing both myself and Jem to spend a bit of time together as well, which was fantastic.
The one I think that sticks in this man's memory was a journey to Chessington, which was quite remarkable because there was priority passes so we could jump the queues, and his illness means that he's at risk of picking up infections, and the thought of standing him in a queue for an hour, we wouldn't have gone to that type of place.
We had a bit of a damp issue, particularly in our utility room because there was no heating out there, and we were discussing this with our click sergeant social worker and sort of saying, oh gosh, we're not here to do anything about it, and it was a bit of a worry, but this chest fungal infection he had on his lungs, wasn't going to help that. And she came back, well, I don't know if it was that same day or the next day, it was very, very quick.
I think it was the next day.
And basically said, give me some quotes, the Joe Glover Trust will help you. And they just paid for it all. And it was just such a weight off our minds. It was unbelievable.
The Joe Glover Trust is a very small charity, so relies entirely on the donations from corporates and individuals. It doesn't have to be anything big. Any amount has potential to help a huge amount of families in this area.
I'd basically describe them as a light in the darkness, really. When the chips are down, when you think that you don't necessarily have anybody or any kind of support, they are there to provide that support and then some. So effectively they are, without a shadow of a doubt, a big helping hand, and we certainly appreciate that.
I told my friends once that the amount of support that's out there is like a big blanket when you're in your darkest moments, knowing that people care.
The Trust needs your support to continue to help these families. If you can help in any way, it would make a huge difference.
There's a real sense of community within the charity and a sense of caring that is just so amazing, and we really needed it, and I'm so grateful that they were there.
Thanks so much to the Joe Glover Trust that they've given us all of these amazing things like the days out, the Xboxes, helping us with our utility room. It's just been amazing, the support that we get from them.
I'd just like to say thank you, Joe Glover Trust. You're absolutely amazing. The work you do is second to none, and you've really helped this family out, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Knowing that there is something there when you're really in a bad place is wonderful.
It's a rat. Okay.